Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So in this video we are going to discuss on how to use chain rule. So before we can proceed with the example, we need to know why and when to use chain rule. So it's just the same in my previous videos. When you are given a function and you cannot differentiate that function directly, then you need to apply technique of differentiation. So we already discussed on when to use product rule, when to use quotient rule. So now is chain rule. So when to use it, so it might be three conditions. So the first one, when you are given a complex function, then and that function you cannot differentiate by using product rule or quotient rule. Or the second one, it might be a combination of more than one function. Or you might also have, when you are given a function, the power of that function is not 1. The next one, we take a look at the step to solve by using chain rule. So the first step is you need to define variable u and differentiate correspondingly. The second step, you need to define your y in terms of u. So your dy dx is equals to dy du multiplied by du dx. So as you can see here, we want to find dy over dx. So this one must be the same as this one, then only we call it chain. Okay, so let's try to solve this example. So as you can see here, for this example, the power of this function is not 1. So in this case, the power is square root. So power is 1 over 2. And as you can see here, you have sine function. And inside here, you have polynomial with degree 3. What is your u? So basically, when we are going to choose our u, we go for the deeper function. Okay, hint here, when you choose your u, it make you easier to differentiate. So if you let u equals to something, and when you want to differentiate that one, or when you apply chain rule, the function become more complicated, then your u that you choose might be wrong. So remember, we apply technique of differentiation because we want to reduce the difficulty to differentiate that function. So when we apply technique, then we can differentiate that function easily. Okay, so for this one, what will be your u? So you can either choose your u is equals to this one, or you can take this the whole thing as your u. Okay, and one more thing, your chain rule is not always like this. Okay, your chain rule is not always like this. Sometimes you might have your dy dx is equals to dy dv times dv du times du dx. So how we are going to know our chain rule is up until here or up until here? It depends on how you choose your u. Okay, so if you choose your u is equals to the argument of the trigonometric function, then you might have 3 function here. This one, then only you go for the power. You see here? Okay, or if you want to make your chain become shorter, then you can choose this one as your u. Okay, so both are accepted. Either you choose this one first, or you choose sine 4x cubed for your u, and this is your second function. So it's up to you. Okay, so let's say I'm going to use my u is equals to sine 4x cubed. So what is my du dx? So du dx is equals to 12x squared cos 4x cubed. Now you should be able to know how to differentiate sine, cos, how to differentiate exponent. If that basic you have problem, then you may have problem to solve by using any technique. Okay, so I already let the whole function here as my u. So what is my y in terms of u? So now I will have my y is equals to u 1 over 2. Okay, so I just changed the way of writing this one part, square root here, then I write as power half. So as you can see here, this problem become much more easier. Okay, so at the first one you have this complex function. Now you just have this one, so you can differentiate this one, right? So differentiate dy du is equals to 1 over 2 u negative half. So this one is equals to 1 over 2 square root u. So therefore your dy dx is equals to dy du times du dx. So it's a backward process. You take this one first, then multiply with this one. So substitute what you have. So you will have 1 over 2 sec u multiply by is equals to 12x squared cos 4x cubed. So simplify this one, you have 6. So the last answer, as you can see, we want to find dy dx, so you need to change back what is your u. Okay, so your u is equals to this function, so substitute back into here. Okay, so therefore your last answer will be your dy dx is equals to 6x squared cos 4x cubed over square root sine 4x cubed. So this is the first way on how to use chain rule to solve this problem. Okay, now let us try by letting u as this one first. Okay, so you have y equals to square root sine 4x cubed. Okay, so now I am using the second technique, which is I want to let this one as u. Okay, and I want to show to you that the answer will be the same. Okay, so if I let my u is equals to 4x cubed, so what will be my du dx? So du dx is equals to 12x squared. So now this term now become u. So you need to let the second variable, let's say v. So what is v? So v is equals to sine u. Okay, so what is your dv du? Remember, when we differentiate, it is not always b over dx. Okay, you need to refer to your function. So in this case you have u, then you will have dv du. So dv du is equals to cos u. So the last one, you will have y is equals to v power half. Okay, so I just change the way I write the square root here, then here I have power half. Okay, so differentiate dy dv will give you 1 over 2 square root v. So now, what is your dy dx? So dy dx is equals to, so we start with the last one first. So dy dv times dv du times du dx. So you need to check your chain first. Okay, so how are you going to check? So you need to make sure it starts with dy and it's end with dx. Next, when we call chain, so this one is equals to this one. Same goes for this one, is equals to this one. So if this is correct, then you may proceed. So just substitute what you have. So dy dv is equals to 1 over 2 sec v. dv du is equals to cos u. And du dx is equals to 12x squared. So if I simplify this one, so this one can cancel out. So that I will have 6x squared cos u. So what is my u? U is equals to this one. So cos 4x cubed over square root. So what is my v? V is equals to sine u. So what is u? So u is equals to 4x cubed. So therefore I will have sine 4x cubed. So as you can see, the answer is the same as the previous one. Okay, so it's up to you. You will identify whether you will have one change here, whether you will have this kind of chain rule or this kind of chain rule. Okay, so that's all. I shall see you in my next video. Bye.